Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I know this one was very soon after my last one, which is good. Today's video is a bit different because I am going to be making a little sculpture, a little figurine out of polymer clay. What you saw right there at the beginning, the sketches, were the kind of preparatory idea sketches that I had for the sculpture. So I don't know, I'm not like a professional sculptor or anything. I'm just doing this for fun. So I just thought it might be interesting to film the process and show you how I did it. There will be kind of like two switches, I guess. Sorry, not two. There will be a switch kind of halfway through the video because I started this way before Christmas last year. And I only really got back to it in the last week. Just stuff happened over Christmas and I really lost a lot of my motivation to finish this off. So he was sitting on my desk for months and months. The body was kind of, left in this state as you see it. And the head was just kind of lying next to it. So you'll see that anyway, at what point that is. The camera quality for some reason decides to improve when I started filming again. Anyway, I just wanted to say that in case you noticed. So yeah, this isn't a tutorial video. I'm obviously not explaining any of what I'm doing. I'm just showing the process. A lot of what I'm doing is taken from the advice or the techniques of actual sculptors like Ace of Clay and Tina Yu. I would have watched a lot of their videos when I was making this, and so I would have been kind of like adopting a lot of what they were suggesting or a lot of their techniques. But I'm only doing this for fun. It's for myself. He is a character from my Nuzlocke comic, which I have mentioned before. I don't want to keep mentioning it because I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'll just explain who he is. So last year when I started getting into figurine making, I started off with my Rocket Brothers. So I have the four characters, the four Rocket Brothers in my comic, and this obviously is one of them. So this guy is the shortest brother, because like they're identical. They're four identical brothers, except this guy, who is still identical in certain ways, but he's shorter and he's the only one with red hair. And he's really chill and laid back. His name is Russell, but it's always shortened to Russ. So yeah, this is him. He's obsessed with eating. So I made him eat like a little sandwich, which I'm actually so happy with how that came out. I'd never made food before. Like this is the fifth figurine. Well, I guess it's the third full-bodied figurine that I've made. But so I was a little bit more used to how to make a person, even though it's not like very professionally done at all. But this was the first time that I ended up making food for this particular figurine, and I was really happy with how it came out. So you'll see it at the end. I'm afraid I decided not to show the very, very end of the process where I was painting it because, I'm obviously, with the type of videos that I normally do, which is mostly painting or drawing, I'm much more used to filming flat images or things that lie flat on my desk. So with a 3D object like this, I'm going to have to apologize. My boyfriend told me in advance that I shouldn't be apologizing all the time, but in this case, so here, sorry, the head is baked, so that's how he looks after his baking. But the quality of the video is kind of gonna go in between, like a bit blurry or sharp, just because I'm just not used to filming 3D stuff. So you'll have to bear with me on that. I don't know if I'll ever do any other figurine videos, maybe in the future, depending on how well this one goes down. But I just on a whim, as I started doing it, I was like, oh, I thought maybe it might be interesting to at least film the process, even just for me to look back on. I am glad now that I did, because obviously it's been months and months since I tackled him. So, oh yeah, so here you can see the brown bit on the clay. I accidentally, I'd forgotten, I think, the actual temperature that the clay was supposed to cook at. It might have just been a bit high, but the clay does burn, which is fine. I mean, like, it's easy to cover up and it doesn't affect anything as far as I can tell. Again, like I say, I'm just making these figurines for myself. I'm not like selling them or anything, so it doesn't make any difference to me if they get a bit burned because I paint over it. So what else to say? Yeah, that's kind of it, really. I'm currently making his cap, his backwards cap, because obviously he's all cool and laid back, so he doesn't wear his cap like the other guys do. He was probably the most fun to make, just because he's so like, he's got such a chill posture. The only thing that I'm not really that happy with about him is he's leaning forward a little bit too much on his stand. And again, you can see here the stand isn't, oh yeah, okay, so actually this is where I resumed just a few days ago. So this was filmed maybe 2 or 3 days ago. You can see for some reason, maybe it's just because the weather was good that day, the lighting for some reason just kind of copped itself on a little bit and my skin tone looks a bit more normal. But what was I saying? Oh, I always lose my train of thought. Yeah, so he was he's leaning forward a little bit. The plaque, he's not even really on a plaque, it's just a bit of MDF. So none of this is done like with any kind of form of like proper finishedness, finish, I guess. He ended up much thicker as well than his brothers. I mean, I guess it makes sense because he's shorter, he's going to be a little bit more squat. And if he's, you know, if he likes his food as much as I say he does, then he might have a little bit more of a stockiness to him. But when I made his brothers, they are very, very thin, very lanky, which now I realize is not how they should be. I mean, like, okay, in the comic they are all very slim, and even this guy Russ, his weight, I guess, in proportion to his size is the same as his taller brothers, so that way he's not really that much different. But I don't know, anyway, he has more bulk. You can see he's kind of filling out a little bit. I do trim him down a little bit, like, yeah, I cut down on his sides here, you know, make him look a little bit less rotund. But I still really like how he turned out. His proportions are still a little bit all over the place. His legs are a bit too short, his arms are a bit too long, but I also quite enjoy that, like, charm, the handmade charm of stuff like this. So what else to say? There's a lot more of the video left. Like, even you can see my tools are all like the cheap plastic ones you can get in the shop. But, you know, I guess none of that matters. It just depends how you use it. He has a bit of a booty on him as well. I do cut that back down because it is a little bit too round. A little bit too much. I think I gave him a little pat at the end. Maybe not. Anyway, so I guess I can explain a little bit more about this brother. So yeah, as I say, he's kind of like the odd one out of the 4 of them. 3 of them are absolutely totally identical. They all have black hair, they're all the same height. This guy, he still has the same features in that, like, he has the same nose, the same hairstyle, but he's the only one who has this bright fiery red hair, and he's just shorter. I don't know why I decided to make him that way. I think just I thought it was funny at the time when I was designing them. And I really, really like him. Now he's actually, of the 4, he's probably my favourite of them, because I feel like he's a lot more like me than the others, you know, who can't relate to loving food and just wanting to chill out all the time. So yeah, you can see here that like the leg I'm working on there is really, really quite short. I mean, compared to the leg that's crossed over is much longer. But at this point, I didn't really care. I just wanted to get him done. He'd been sitting on my desk headless for months on end. So I was just like, just do it, get it done. And he'll be on the stand with all of his brothers, and there'll be a finished collection for me. But all of this stemmed as well from the fact that I always kind of lamented the fact that I always wanted to buy figurines or like some kind of memorabilia of characters from various video games and stuff, but either the characters that I wanted didn't exist, like they just aren't made, or they're really expensive to buy and hard to acquire, I guess. And I would be watching videos of like sculpting on YouTube or whatever and thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool to just be able to make my own. And it kind of just, there we go, he's all baked. I just kind of decided then I'm just going to bite the bullet and try and make them myself, you know. I've watched enough videos that I felt like I could do something about it. And then I was getting really excited about the idea because I was like, oh wow, I can actually make my own characters as well as the characters that I wanted official figurines of. And because I don't make them, I guess, to any professional capacity, and because it's always supposed to be like, it was always supposed to be a personal project, I don't think I'd ever make figurines to sell, and if I do, it would probably be after a lot more practice than this, but it's not something that I really want to do, is sell them. I just want to make them for myself. And there's a whole list of characters and stuff that I would love to make. Probably won't film all of them, but it's really exciting actually to see them take form. When I had finished this model all the way to the end, and I kind of stood him next to the other ones that I had made, and it was just so satisfying because it was like, it's a complete set now, and it's like I have there are supposed to be 4 brothers, but I was going to make the 4th one as well as a full body figurine, but after this one I was like, nah, I don't think so. It's so much effort, and I just kind of wanted to move on to other characters. But yeah, so you know, when you can't buy merch, just make your own. Or when you can't buy like figurines, make your own. So oh yeah, this is the hand that's gonna hold the sandwich, and this is my favorite part of the entire sculpture, is the hand holding the sandwich. This is supposed to be his other hand, and it's going to be his hand in his pocket, and it's going to be a gigantic pocket. So it's going to look really silly, but you'll just have to move past it, because I had to move past it, even though the whole time I was just like, this looks ridiculous. And it does, but because it's cartoony, it doesn't matter really. But I was glad that I only had one hand to really have to fiddle around with in this one. I was kind of considering doing a second hand properly, the one in his pocket, and then just kind of like balling it up, but you wouldn't have seen anything anyway, so I kind of thought like, what's the point in putting in that amount of effort and you're not going to see the hand anyway. So I think it worked out. It does look really silly to have this gigantic ball in a pocket like that, but you know what? It's fine. I'm happy with it, and I'm the one who's going to have to live with it, so that's all that matters. So yeah, I'm just constantly building up on it, shaving bits away. you can kind of see that like I added more of a curve to his body, so like his shoulders and hips were more balanced, I guess you'd say. And there's more of like a, yeah, there's just more of a curve in his spine. And there's my cup of coffee. So I think I'm gonna be, yeah, I'm making the sandwich now. The most exciting part. I don't know why I'm so happy with this. I think just the fact that one, it's just a tiny piece of food makes me really happy. And also then how it turned out when I painted it, I was just like, the moment my boyfriend came home from work, I was like, look what I did, look what I managed to do. Never mind the rest of the sculpture. Look at the little sandwich. It's so cute. And it even has a little bite taken out of it. And oh my God, I love this sandwich so much. And the hand holding it, I was so happy with this. Just because, you know, like hands are hard to do, like they're hard to draw, I guess. And I suppose for here, obviously it's just like some square fingers. Because it's a cartoony style, it works fine. But I don't know, I think I always kind of imagine that it's going to be harder than it is. And then, like, it was the same with my other little sculptures. Coffee break. It was the same with my other little sculptures, that the hands were actually easier than I thought they'd be. Which is good. You saw me drying the clay a little bit with my heat gun because I don't have a proper oven. I only have a small like halogen oven. I don't know if any of you would be familiar with what those look like, but they're not very tall and they're not very wide. So at this point I couldn't put him into this oven to bake anymore. And since I was only going to be adding little details from now on, I was just able to use my heat gun for like maybe 5 minutes or so at a time, and it works fine, you know, it cooks it enough. There we go, just cooking his neck, baking his neck. Oh yeah, okay, so sorry for the camera angle shift, so that you can see my very messy desk, but I just couldn't get this angle from above. I couldn't show you what I was doing, so I thought, like, look, for the sake of it, it's the end of the sculpture. I might as well just turn it so you can see that I'm just doing his glove, doing the rest of his glove. I also realised at this point that I'd forgotten to do his belt, but I also just didn't care enough at this point to add it, so I just kind of painted a little buckle on at the end, you'll see it. But I'm really happy with how he turned out. I think like he's got so much attitude and personality. He's exactly how I wanted him to turn out, which is always so satisfying. I think this is kind of the end of the video. There might be some left, but at this point I'm just filling in time. I'm just going to be rambling, so I'll probably just leave it here and let you watch the rest of it. And I really hope this was interesting to watch. I can imagine that some people might groan at the fact that I waited until after I put the sandwich hand on to do his collar. I really should have done the collar first, but I was so excited to attach the hand that I didn't want to wait. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the process was interesting, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.